First responders from across the West answering the calls for help in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. Tonight, 3 of them injured in the line of duty.
Times like these that I ask San Diegans to remember the tremendous sacrifices that we ask of our first responders.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Those 3 San Diego firefighters were injured in a crash that happened as they were driving east to help storm victims. They crashed near the Texas-Louisiana border as they headed for communities that have been badly damaged by Helene. This storm is being blamed now for at least 133 deaths across 6 different states. Hundreds of people remain unaccounted for tonight. While floodwaters are receding, there is wet weather in the forecast, and that has the potential to create even more problems coming up later this week. Aid is beginning to get to people trapped in mountainous areas of North Carolina. The Air National Guard released this video today showing crews involved in the complicated effort of airlifting water and other supplies. First responders from across the country are now getting involved in relief efforts. Fox 5's Zara Barker shows us how a California community is coming together after learning some of their own first responders were injured on the way to this disaster zone.
These prayers are with these injured firefighters, their families, and their loved ones. This is obviously a very serious incident, and I ask that San Diegans keep each one of these firefighters in their prayers.
3 San Diego fire rescue crews were hurt in a serious crash while on their way to help with the tragic aftermath of Hurricane Helene. The 2-vehicle crash involving 1 rescue vehicle happened around 2:45 Sunday morning Central Time as the crews were near the border of Texas and Louisiana. 1 battalion chief and 2 captains were hurt and airlifted to a Shreveport hospital. The cause of that crash is still under investigation.
It's times like these that I ask San Diegans to remember the tremendous sacrifices that we ask of our first responders. These are individuals who will go toward danger while the rest of us step away.
32 members of the San Diego fire team were part of a 48-person deployment team that left San Diego Friday evening in 18 vehicles and were headed east to Charlotte, North Carolina, which has seen devastating impacts from Hurricane Helene.
California Task Force 8 has deployed multiple times to national disasters over the years. This is the first time task force members have been involved in a serious accident.
And that was Fox 5's Zara Barker reporting for us tonight. California Governor Gavin Newsom extended condolences to the injured firefighters and their families in a statement. He said in part, their bravery and selflessness are a testament to the extraordinary commitment they have to protecting all Americans. We are incredibly proud of them and will do everything in our power to support them through their recovery. First responders from at least 5 different states here in the West are helping victims in the hurricane-damaged areas. Fox 12's Julia Lopez had a chance to speak with one Red Cross worker from Oregon who's helping to lead recovery efforts in Georgia.
There's a lot of devastation. There's a huge amount of need. There's still a lot of counties in Georgia that we can't even access yet.
Alan Underkoffler of Pendleton has been in Georgia for 5 days and says he's shocked by the sheer amount of damage Hurricane Helene left behind.
You normally would expect a hurricane to dissipate as it hits land. And this one did, but it was just so strong as it kind of carried through.
He says he's felt prepared, but that volunteers in Georgia working 12-hour days are still facing challenges like closed roads and power and cell service outages. That's why he says they're still discovering people stuck in their homes for days who haven't seen a single rescue worker from outside their county.
When you're going in there and you have a big Red Cross van with a big Red Cross, they know who we are, right? They're immediately surrounded by community members that just need the basic needs, the needs that we have every day that we take for granted. In the blink of an eye, they lost all that.
He says that's rare days after the storm and speaks to its magnitude.
Unfortunately, every day, the news that we're hearing, much like you're hearing, I'm sure, is just more and more devastation, more destruction. This is going to go on for quite a while, and it's going to be a little while before we have a full scope of the complete damage that this hurricane has done.
Underkoffler is the deputy director of this response, coordinating 230 volunteers, 13 shelters, and thousands of meals across Georgia. Right now, they're focused on shelter, food, and water.
If you're able to give them a box of food that's going to last them, that includes 10 meals in it, that's going to be able to sustain their family for a couple more days, That's a huge win for them.
Under Koffler tells me they're bracing for even more rain and just hope they make it to the cleanup phase soon.
And that was Fox 12's Julia Lopez reporting for us tonight. President Biden has sharp criticism for former President Trump, who claims the president is, quote, sleeping on this response effort to the storm.
He is lying. Let me get this straight. He's lying. And the governor told him he was lying. The governor told him he was lying. I've spoken to the governor, spending time with him, and he told me he's lying. I don't know why he does this. And the reason I get so angry about it, I don't care about what he says about me. I care what he communicates to the people that are in need. He implies that we're not doing everything possible. We are.
The president said that today in reaction to his predecessor's comments. Biden intends to visit North Carolina on Wednesday. He'll meet with first responders in Raleigh and then take an aerial tour of damaged areas. He says he'll tour damage on the ground when a visit like that doesn't get in the way of the work being done by first responders. Former President Trump insists he is not politicizing this disaster. He toured damage in Georgia this afternoon. When he addressed reporters, he said now is not the time for politics.
We have a lot of help down here. We look out for one another. We pull together, we pitch in, we persevere, and we pull it through. That is really the American spirit.
The former president plans to discuss the economy during 2 campaign events in Wisconsin tomorrow. Vice President Kamala Harris visited FEMA's headquarters in Washington, D.C. today. She thanked employees for their dedication to the hurricane response effort. She also promised hurricane victims the federal government will assist in their recovery effort over the long term.
Our nation is with you. And President Biden and I and all of the folks behind me are with you. We will continue to do everything we can to help you recover and to help you rebuild, no matter how long it takes. And I do believe the true character of a nation is revealed in moments of hardship.
Vice President Harris says she will tour some of the areas affected by Helene when she's confident the trip won't interfere with recovery efforts. The vice presidential candidates will take to the debate stage tomorrow night in New York. Now, historically, the VP debate doesn't do much to change the minds of voters. Analysts say it may be in the interest of both men to simply avoid any major gaffes. An AP poll that was released just last week shows Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is viewed more positively by voters than Republican Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Well, the work week got started with the return of some serious heat all across the West. Here's a live look tonight at Phoenix, where it is still very toasty. Just one of the places where excessive heat warnings are in effect right now. For more, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Bill Martin, who can break down where temperatures are headed this week. Bill?
That's right back here in the Bay Area on the West Coast, but San Francisco at this moment. You're looking at the Golden Gate Bridge live camera. It was 87 degrees in San Francisco today, 73 degrees right now. San Jose set a record of 90, or tied a record at 95 degrees. So Bay Area hot, very hot in the Central Valley. Here's a San Francisco number, 87 degrees. Temperatures tomorrow are going to be, especially from San Francisco south, are going to be hotter than they were today. So tomorrow is going to be the hottest day, certainly in northern and central California. As we work our way down here, you look at all the watches, warnings, and advisories. Yellow is a heat advisory. These reds are extreme heat warnings. We have fire concerns throughout the West Coast, especially in the Southwest. Northwest is much cooler. Northwest got temperatures generally in the 60s and in low 70s. So excessive heat warnings through Tuesday, probably through Wednesday for others. Temperatures can easily get up to 115, 116 degrees in some spots. So right now it's cooling down. And then you see, right, you can see where the cool area is. It's residing to the north, but this whole area, that's about, that's Redding, all the way down to Bakersfield and then down into Phoenix. It is hot as all get out, and it's going to stay that way for a few more days. The story on the West Coast, you see this rotation, that's a high. I pointed this out earlier, but it's like this ridge of high pressure, right? It's long, it's really extended. That's why it's not going to be a couple days of heat and then done. It's staying put for a number of days, certainly right into Friday and maybe a little bit into the weekend as well. There will be gradual cooling on the weekend, but this jet stream this far north, that's why it's cool up here, but But down where we are, it is definitely hot. 66 in Seattle today. That was the high. Speaking of cool, so pretty mild. They'll see a few sprinkles up around Orcas Island and some of the areas up around the San Juan Islands. A few scattered sprinkles as that system drives over the top. Phoenix, $107 today. Now it's hot. Air quality not so good around California. Actually really bad as we get this pattern, this ridge. Here's sort of the setup as we go into tomorrow. The heat is this way. Phoenix, you're going to be well over 100 degrees. Out in Denver, you're going to be in the 80s for the most part. And then you can kind of pick out your city or your region. But basically, it's all about certainly from Northern California south and back into Phoenix, it is hot as all get out. And it stays that way through Thursday and into Friday.
Yeah, some serious heat throughout the rest of this week. Bill, thank you. Pete Rose, a baseball legend and a polarizing figure, has died. A spokesperson for Clark County, Nevada, says Rose died today. According to TMZ, Rose lived in Las Vegas and his family is asking for privacy at this time. His cause of death has not yet been determined. Among his accolades, Rose earned 17 All-Star Game nods and helped to win 3 World Series. He was banned from baseball in 1989 after a league investigation found he gambled on games. There's no word tonight on Rose's cause of death. Pete Rose was 83 years old. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a thrilling and heart-pounding experience for some scuba divers in the waters off Southern California. The close encounter with a great white shark that was captured on video. Also, a frustrating day for many Verizon customers across the West as the carrier struggled with a widespread outage, the latest on efforts to restore cell service. Today, a judge in New Mexico upheld an involuntary manslaughter conviction against a movie armorer in the fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed asked a court to dismiss her conviction, alleging that prosecutors failed to share evidence that could have cleared her. But the judge in this case said the attorneys did not establish a reasonable possibility of a different outcome had the evidence been available. That same judge ended Alec Baldwin's trial in July based on police and prosecutors withholding different evidence from the defense. Many Verizon customers across the West Coast faced a difficult day without cell phone service. That's because of a nationwide outage that began early this morning. Tonight, Verizon says it's making progress in resolving this issue. KTVU's Mark Sayer is in San Jose, California, with more on how Verizon customers dealt with today's disruption.
When Nicholas Aldava tries to make a call, it simply does not go through. His phone displays the SOS message in the corner of his screen, and he says it has been that way all day long.
I don't know, I just woke up and I tried to go on my phone and I saw the SOS symbol was on, so I tried turning it off, but it didn't say it was on in the settings, but I don't know, my data's just not working. Like, I got no bars, nothing, nowhere.
We met Aldava and his uncle Gilbert at the Diridon train station in downtown San Jose. The two share the same Verizon account, and Gilbert's phone has been working just fine.
It's crazy. You were asking about day-to-day life. Yeah. He uses Uber and phone calls for rides a lot, right. And so we're worried about that. I have no idea. It's really weird that my phone, we're all on the same account, and my phone works, and his doesn't.
Inside the station, we met Maria Granados, who is not a Verizon customer, but says she cannot reach her sister, who is with Verizon. Any effort to call just fails to go through.
Well, I'm sure she can't make any calls because she can't communicate with my mother, and they both have Verizon. So there's no calls that she's able to make at the moment.
Larry Maggot has been following technology for decades and says while we may never be prepared for such outages, there are workarounds.
When I was in New York, what I did is, since I needed urgently to get a message across, I actually darted into a building that I knew had public Wi-Fi, and I jumped onto their Wi-Fi network. So, that's a good thing, is to know where Wi-Fi networks are and be able to get onto them, because once you're on a Wi-Fi network, most of the things you can do from your phone, you can do through Wi-Fi instead of through cellular.
In a statement issued Monday afternoon, Verizon says Verizon engineers are making progress on our network issue and service has started to be restored. We know how much people rely on Verizon and apologize for any inconvenience some of our customers experience today. We continue to work around the clock to fully resolve this issue. We did check in with some of the local emergency services. Both the San Jose Fire Department and the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department tell us that this outage did not affect their communication centers, nor the ability of their crews or deputies to talk to one another. Reporting in downtown San Jose, I'm Mark Sayer, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
A looming strike by port workers on the Gulf Coast and the East Coast is already having a ripple effect on port operations here in the West. Tens of thousands of union dock workers across 36 ports from Maine to Texas are set to walk off the job at midnight, barring a last-minute deal. Those workers are asking for a 77% raise and a promise that cranes, gates, and container movements be monitored by humans and not artificial intelligence. Shipping companies claim those demands aren't practical and a strike will only raise prices for consumers. Some retailers are scrambling to secure their supply lines ahead of this strike. Many shipments have already been diverted here to the West, and that's adding to route congestion. Talks between Boeing and its machinists union have stalled. Union negotiators broke off those talks on Friday, claiming on social media that Boeing, quote, wouldn't engage substantively on union issues such as higher pay or restoring a benefit pension that was cut 10 years ago. Federal mediators were present for those negotiations. Both sides say they remain willing to meet for more talks. The strike involving 33,000 workers is now into its third week. Some Southern California scuba divers say they will never forget what happened to them over this past weekend. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez shows us how they managed to record their unexpected encounter with a great white shark.
You can hear the scuba divers' excitement at their close-up encounter with a white shark while diving with Sundiver International this weekend near Catalina.
It was spiritual. It was amazing.
Because this is very rare, even for an experienced shark safety diver like Casey Madigan and boatmates like Seamus Callahan with Hewish Outdoors.
Yeah, it was very rare. I have 40 years.
He was testing this waterproof casing for underwater use with iPhones, shooting as he went down when he felt something over his right shoulder and pointed the camera that way.
Less than 6 feet from me, here comes this, what looked to me, 15-foot
white shark.
I just filmed it going all the way around us, and it swam under some other divers who didn't see it.
But Casey did. That's her on this video.
I didn't want to be flailing. I didn't want to be moving.
Pushing herself away not to get too close, even if this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I've wanted the great white encounter outside of a cage for years, and it's so rare. I feel so blessed.
It was curious. It wanted to know what we were doing in its yard, and it checked us out.
She didn't have any jerky movements. She had a very calm presence in the water, circled a little bit to check us out, and went on her way.
Has it hit you yet?
Oh, I'm still riding a high. This is the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting for us tonight. White sharks have come back from near extinction as laws have changed to protect them, especially in the waters off of California. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, ready to play host. Tonight, Salt Lake City works to calm any fears the Olympic Committee may have that they may have wanted to send the 2034 Winter Games, somewhere else.
And having them see our beautiful state and our fantastic people firsthand, it's a special opportunity to share that.
President Biden has expanded asylum restrictions at the southern border. The new rules toughen restrictions announced back in June, which blocked a vast majority of asylum claims at the U.S.-Mexico border and allowed agents to turn people back more quickly. Under that June order, the number of people trying to cross illegally each day must drop below 1,500 for a week before the restrictions can be lifted. The new rule expands the time period to 28 straight days, and that change takes effect tomorrow. Salt Lake City showing off on an international stage. Fox 13's Mitali Gubi shows us how the city is working to prove it will be ready to host the 2034 Winter Olympic Games.
Welcome. Thank you.
This is the first time President of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, has visited Utah since the 2002 Games.
I didn't recognize anything when I came back here.
In July, Salt Lake City and Utah were awarded the 2034 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games. This weekend, IOC leadership learned more about Utah's vision and commitment to the Games.
And having them see our beautiful state and our fantastic people firsthand, it's a special opportunity to share that.
To think in a very innovative way, because what we are expecting from these games in 34 are Olympic Winter Games adapted to the needs of our time.
Day 2 of their visit started with a breakfast event at the Grand America Hotel and a special moment to recognize the Utah Olympic athletes. Then they moved to the Utah Olympic Oval in Kearns, and that included special meetings with future Olympians.
I've been to 4 games, and all the venues in those games are no longer in use. We are here every day. We are high performance by day, we're public by night.
Derek Parra is an Olympic gold medalist and now sport director at the Utah Olympic Oval.
It's great to see every day, seeing kids from the communities, families, events, high school track meets, you name it. Now the Utah Hockey Club is here. This is just a 3-ring circus at times, so we're very proud to be able to showcase this today.
When Utah was awarded the Games in July, the contract was changed to include a clause that Utah could lose the Games if local officials did not pressure the federal government to end a U.S. investigation into the World Anti-Doping Agency.
So I want to reassure Utahns that's not something that's going to get in the way. The United States will be a big part of the World Anti-Doping Code and system, and when people disagree about things, what we're trying to do is allow the disagreements to come out in the open, be expressed respectfully.
President Bach also echoing U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee President and Chair Gene Sykes that he is confident that Utah will host the Games in 2034.
And this is why also we took this decision to allocate the Games 34 to Salt Lake. We are very confident that there a good solution will be found.
Excited for the Games and the years leading up to it.
And I love that we get to say to the world once again, welcome home. We're bigger and better. Watch out.
The next step in the process of hosting the 2034 Winter Games, selecting the organizing committee by the end of this year. At the Utah Olympic Oval in Kearns, I am Maithili Gulbi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And finally, tonight, President Biden welcomed the United States 2024 Olympic and Paralympic teams to the White House today. This year in Paris, Team USA topped the overall medal count with 126 medals for the 8th consecutive Olympic Games. In the Paralympic Games, Team USA finished 3rd overall with 105 medals. President Biden told the athletes they are considered heroes to people all across the country.
We know the power of sports to empower and bring us together. There's nothing like the simple truth that's already been stated, only in America. It's a great honor to represent our nation and to hear those letters, USA.
The president wasn't able to attend the Paris Games, but he says he is looking forward to attending the 2028 Summer Games coming up in Los Angeles. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. Have a great night.